Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thanks for being here. Thank you, Representative Kim. It's so great to be here with you today on a beautiful Washington morning. We've got a lot to talk about. I want to sum up all the many facets of your identity in a sentence. I'm going to give it a go. You're an immigrant, small business owner, community leader, former California Assemblywoman, mother and grandmother. It's clear you've achieved so much in so many realms, but I did want to start with politics. In 2020, you were one of the first 3 Korean American women elected to Congress. You won in a district that was expected to go to the Democratic Party. In fact, Joe Biden won that district by more than 10 points. What do you attribute your success in that race to?
Being a woman. Hard work. I am really honored to be one of the first Korean American and one of the first 2 Korean American Republican women at that. This is not a partisan conversation, but I have to say that because I represent a state that is very blue. But I also had the opportunity, an unprecedented opportunity, to work in the field in that same congressional district, because I worked for a former chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee at Royce. And so I feel like I knew that district when he retired at the end of 2018. I told myself, my time has come. At such time as this, Young Kim, go to Washington, D.C. and represent the district. So I attribute that to, 1, being connected to the district, knowing the district, and again, being a woman naturally makes you a consensus builder, problem solver, and we are multitaskers and we can get things done. So despite the fact that the district was very, very blue district and a blue state, I think I attribute hard work to getting here when I did in 2020.
Well, now that you're here, you are chairwoman of the Indo-Pacific Subcommittee of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Very busy part of the world, as we were talking about backstage, though there's a lot more going on in other parts of the world that's maybe distracted us lately. But I know that you've been taking some trips to the Indo-Pacific, some CODELs, and you just returned from South Korea 2 weeks ago. Tell us how those travels in the region have shaped or perhaps even changed your agenda in terms of foreign affairs.
So, my priority and my focus as a chairwoman of the Indo-Pacific Subcommittee is to meet with our counterparts and our partners in the Indo-Pacific region, talking about the common threat that we are facing. And that comes from China, CCP, whose goal has been made very, very clear. They want to be the economic and military superpower. So my challenge was to go around and meet with our counterparts and get some assurance. Will you stand with the United States if our other strongest economic partner, like Taiwan, is attacked by China? Because Xi Jinping's goal goes through taking over Taiwan by 2027. We have an obligation to deliver the weapons that Taiwan purchased and already paid for, which we haven't done. So 1 is to ensure if United States cannot fulfill that obligation before that 2027, will our partners like Japan, South Korea be able to help us and protect our strongest ally? Because security assurance to Taiwan is critically important because our national security is at stake. Remember, TSMC is in Taiwan, and so they're trying to invest more in the United States, and as you know, they are doing that in Arizona. If something happens, Taiwan, being like over 90% of the producer of the semiconductor, everything that you see. I mean, you guys are taking notes on your phone, taking pictures with that. I mean, all of this will be affected, and our economy will be affected. Our national security will be affected. And by not standing and showing the leadership in the world will also affect our U.S.'s ability to be perceived as a leader in the global stage. So that is very important. So our relationship with our allies in the Indo-Pacific is critically important. So I also had that, conversation in South Korea. That was a repeat trip to South Korea. And I also understand that they're really, Japan, in the case of Japan, they have 2% of GDP in the defense budget. That is also very, very exciting for me to hear. Our other partners are doing that. South Korea, they just had a National Assembly. But as far as their foreign policy will not change because President Yoon's, the first half of his administration was all focused on building relationship with the foreign countries and especially with the United States, trilateral relationship with Japan, and then they are really becoming the security partner with other partners in the Pacific area.
So with what you classify as this sort of imminent threat from China and President Xi, how do you balance the need to reassure allies in the Indo-Pacific and specifically to equip Taiwan for what you see as a coming battle with China with the US's other obligations to allies who are also fighting wars in other places? I'm thinking here specifically of Ukraine and Israel.
As you know, South Korea has stepped up and they have continued to provide the support that Ukraine needs. They may not have done it directly, but they have done that through United States, and we have transferred that to Ukraine. So we need to continue to provide the support for Ukraine, but also to Israel and in the Pacific, specifically Taiwan. And I'm really glad that this week, I hope at the latest by Saturday, we're going to be working and passing on those foreign aid bills. And let's hope that gets done, because it sends a very strong message that we are taking decisive action to protect and stand with our allies and partners.
Do you feel frustrated by how slow and arduous that process has been on passing that?
Yes.
And what do you attribute the slowness to?
You can count on me to be able to get things done. I can't say the same thing. There is only few vocal voices. So we had this package. I told the leadership and Speaker Johnson that I don't care whether it comes as a package, foreign aid to Ukraine, Israel, or in the Pacific, or do it as an individual aid. Just let us vote on it and have an opportunity for every member to vote their district. There may be some people who oppose aid to Ukraine. There are some people on the left that oppose aid to Israel. For whatever reasons, they are voting for their district. But one thing is clear, we are all in agreement in providing support for Taiwan. So again, that allows every member to vote their district, vote for their conscience. It is the right thing to do, and on that, I give a lot of credit to Speaker Johnson, because he said he's not going to be threatened by one member, MTV, if you do this. We have to do this because it's the right thing to do, and I hope there are more women legislators like me who would tell the Speaker and the leadership, we have your back. Woman will protect you.
Let's talk about one other foreign policy issue before we wrap up, and that is securing the border. I know that's a priority for you. Talk to us about how you're tackling partisanship on this issue in order to make progress.
So, because the situation of the border is really more dire and it's really worse than what it appears.
Do you
As
mean
a result,
humanitarian dimensions or?
The
security.
border crisis,
Right.
yes. What we're seeing at the border is really bad, so much so that my colleagues on the left are now taking the issue very seriously, right? So we need to address the border crisis, but at the same time, we need to look at it from the immigration perspective. Look, I'm an immigrant. I came from South Korea through the legal way. So we need to separate the border crisis and also the immigration discussion and the conversation that we're having. And I believe I bring a very unique perspective. We need to address the issue from not undermining the legal immigration. The people that are crossing the border, unless we have some sort of a reform that will allow more people to come here legally, they are coming here to live a better life and live the American dream that like most of us did. But we need to tackle that issue in a compassionate and fair way, but do it in a way that doesn't undermine the legal immigration. So I want to, again, border crisis is really serious. We have a legislation that Congress passed in the House of Representatives. We talk about it, but again, we have to allow those who wants to come and live the American dream to be able to do it. Also, there are different visa categories that we need to strengthen, such as, we just talked about South Korea, right? South Korea is one of the countries that have free trade agreements with the United States, but unlike Canada and Singapore and other countries where we already have FTAs, South Korea was not allowed to have the separate 15,000 visa categories to be able to bring their high-level skilled workforce to be able to establish their companies. So that's what I'm working on right now, partner with Korea Act, E4 visa. So we have different types, H1B visa, L1 visas, E1, E4, whatever, J1, B1. There's all kinds of visa categories. Those are all legal way of bringing people here for family petition, employment-based, or even just for exchange programs. But if you do this and do it in a fair and compassionate way, but also do it in the legal way, I think we can solve a lot of problems that we see at the southern border.
It sounds like you want to expand avenues to legal immigration.
Yes.
And that's another priority for you. I wonder, given that English is your second language and you were born in South Korea, how do you think that these experiences have given you a unique worldview in Congress?
Definitely unique perspective, because look, I just finished elementary school in South Korea. I was a young girl, so my recollection of Korea is very, I wasn't versed on the foreign policy issues when I left. But I went to Guam, which is territory of the United States, and finished my junior high school there. And I saw how our military base is really stationed strategically in order to respond should there be conflict around the world. And then I came to Hawaii to finish my high school education, and then came to California, where I am right now. And so you can see, just going through different places as a young girl coming here, and then as an adult now, I get to serve in the United States Congress, serving on the House Foreign Affairs Committee, chairing the Indo-Pacific Subcommittee, and also my background as a small business owner and serving as a controller for a bank corporation doing merger and acquisitions. All these brings me a very unique perspective. So that is how I shaped how I approached the relations with our foreign countries, and then also working on the domestic issues, especially in the areas of small business. I understand how it is very difficult for especially women-owned businesses. That is on the rise, by the way. More so than women-owned businesses were, according to the Wells Fargo Bank's recent study, it probably doubled than the male counterparts. And between 2022 and 2023, I think it probably more than like 4.5 times more women-owned businesses are created. So that's how I just view all domestic and foreign issues from that lens. Remember, Margaret Thatcher always says, you know, if you want anything said, ask a man. If you want anything done, ask a woman. And I always live by that quote.
Well, Representative Kim, we've covered immigration, small business ownership, AUKUS, Indo-Pacific. It's clear that you bring a lot of really unique perspectives to Congress, and we thank you so much for being here today with us.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. Thank you.
And now, please welcome Senator Tammy Duckworth to the stage for a conversation on women's rights.